Good evening, everyone. Um, yeah, I wasn't too sure what to do my talk on, but sometimes when you go on that Bible app and you go on the search thing, then you can scroll down and see what's most popular and search for. So I went to the bottom and I just saw anger there. So I just thought, well, I haven't talked about it before. It's quite a wide subject, but I thought I might just have a little look at that. So it's quite a simple emotion, and everyone feels it. But I just start with, I know everyone knows what anger is, but there's a few bits in the definition off Google that is quite important. So it says, anger is a normal, healthy emotion. There are many different reasons why we might feel angry. We might feel anger at having been treated badly or unfairly by others. Our anger may be a reaction to difficult experiences in our daily life, our past, or in the world around us, or it may be a way to cope with other emotions. So, everyone gets angry, but it's just something that kind of we need to control. So if we just start off in Ephesians chapter 4. And in verse 31. Says, let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamour and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. So that's just kind of, it's this, I'm going to go a bit deeper, but this is kind of just saying, kind of put this away from you and don't really, it's not a great thing. Malice as well, it's a bit different, but, so I think the big thing is in the heat of a moment, when maybe if someone said something to you or done something to you, then you feel like, how dare they, I'd like to have a go at this guy or this person or whoever it was, and you could say something or you could do something that you'll regret. And I think if you just give yourself a few seconds or, kind of just hold your tongue back a bit and just wait, then, and you can kind of respond in a better way, then you'll have a much better outcome. So I don't want to sound a bit like our teachers, but there was a thing that we had, I think it might have been last year, and it was called respond positively or react a bad way. So when a teacher's like, maybe said, come outside, I need to have a word with you, then you could shout at them and say no and keep staying in your seat, or you could go out quietly, a bit like that. But I think for us, it's just kind of just taking that like 1 second. You're not going to lose anything, and choose to respond in a way that you should and would be more appropriate, and you won't regret it either. So that's one point. And I think another thing is it links in with our fruits of the Spirit as well, just kind of self-control and have some constraint over yourself as well. Like if you're in an argument, even if you're completely in the right, then is it really wise to kind of have a go at the other person, or even if you're not wrong, then so I think if we go to not yet. So there's two movies now. I think it's Inside Out, and there's all the emotions, and one of them is anger, and he's always hasty with what he does, and he has like a fire on his head. So if you think of anger a bit like a fire, you can't really control it, and it can pour, like there's a scripture that we'll read in a minute. It can kind of pour out of your mouth. Yeah, we missed that one. It's Proverbs chapter 15. Go to this one. Quite interesting. So Proverbs 15 and chapter verse 1. So it says, "A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness." So it's like, so soft answer turns away wrath. Obviously, that's kind of about taking that second and thinking about what you're going to say or do. And, anger, it's like, but the mouth of fools poureth out of foolishness. So kind of, it's obviously it's foolish, and it's kind of like when something pours, you can't control it, and one thing leads to another, and that's just not good at all. So that self-control again, and yeah, just acting before thinking is just generally not a good thing to do. So yeah, and yeah. So another thing that I thought that it quite linked to is say, puts you in the scenario again, if you're in an argument with someone and they say something to you and it's kind of like, oof, like, oh, I'm not having that, or, so, but that's even like a little bit of pride, even if you're right, maybe just kind of, take a step down, and it doesn't mean be pushed around. Obviously, we're not kind of pushovers, we don't have to be, that's not like that, but just, yeah, it's to do with your pride as well. You don't have to do something unnecessary in a way, so a bit of humility in that as well. So yeah, so I think one thing is as well that I don't want to kind of put across, that I'm not saying like, if like something's being said and it's wrong and you're convicted and your conscience is nagging you, or you see something and it's wrong and it's just not right, and it's kind of, you don't like seeing it, like maybe someone's getting pushed around and maybe they haven't done anything and they're getting basically bullied or something, then then just say it. It's not a bad thing to be angry at something that's good, or standing up for what's right. That's not a bad thing. So we don't have to be just kind of, just as I said, not like quiet and kind of pushovers, and we don't say anything and we don't have any opinions or anything like that. Just kind of when it's appropriate, and when you judge is right. So as well, with the kind of the self-control as a fruit of the Spirit, just a way to kind of exercise that and get better kind of at it is just kind of to strengthen your bond through the Lord, and fellowship and stuff kind of always boils down to that. So and also the definition at the start said it's normal to be angry at times. So it doesn't mean you're condemned and evil if you're angry at someone, just kind of it's how you handle it. And I think if we go to Ephesians chapter 4, and in verse 26, it says, be angry and sin not, let not the sun go down upon your wrath. So that's kind of like, it's, just, you can be angry, but don't do something you'll regret, or something wrong yourself. And I just thought something quite interesting, and I'll read it out from the Amplified Bible. It says, be angry at sin, at immorality, at injustice, at ungodly behaviour, yet do not sin, do not let your anger cause you shame, nor allow it to last until the sun goes down. So, stand up for what's right, but, if you you're having a little battle inside yourself, you're angry at someone or something like that, kind of maybe keep it in, maybe sometimes, and go back, and if you have to, pray to the Lord, get in your closet and have a little rant, but don't bottle it up, and you'll find a way. You'll read something, or you'll get the answer somewhere from someone else or something like that. So so just a little summary. So being angry is a normal emotion. Give yourself a second to respond, and don't react in a negative way with something that you'll regret, or something erratic, or just something stupid like that. Have some self-control and constraints, and hold your tongue, and anger can kind of pour out, and it's can be uncontrollable, and it's just not good. You can put out that kind of anger, or that like a little fire with that soft answer kind of nearly, we've got the saying, be the bigger man, kind of, just be sensible. Yeah, don't be too proud to kind of step down at times when it's appropriate, obviously, and obviously stand up for what's right. You don't have to be pushed around, obviously, and if something's really bothering you, just sort it out with the Lord. So yeah, that's all I've got. Just hand over to Joe now.
Evening, everyone. We'll open in Genesis 22, please. So I've done a little talk on commitment, what it is to be committed, and so like Sean, I've done a little Google on what commitment meant, and it said the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause, activity, etc. So I'm just going to have a look at some examples on like who was committed and what it means to be committed. So we'll start in Genesis 22, verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon the mountains, which I will tell of thee of. And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up, and went unto the place of which God had told him. Then on the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes, and he saw the place afar off. And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I will go, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering, and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and the knife, and the both of them went together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. And he said, Behold the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, my God will provide himself as a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both them together. And they came unto the place which God had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him upon the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. I'll just leave that there. So what's happening here is Abraham's been told by God to kill his son. And that's quite a big thing. You know, it's his son that he loved. And Abraham had that commitment to know that God would be through it, would take him through it. And he was at the point where he had his hand ready to slay him. And he was about to go through with it until the angel of the Lord said, Stop. But I'm just trying to get over that point that, like, he'd do anything, Abraham will do anything to have that commitment to God. And it's like when you look at, like, boxers or, like, top athletes, their whole life will revolve around that sport. And it shows off because they'll be the best in the world. Like Cristiano Ronaldo, he's 24/7, you know, working out and doing all this. Everything he eats, sleeps, does, it revolves around football. And we need to revolve our life around God and be committed to God, as if a footballer was committed to football in a way. It needs to be our number one priority. And this is just a little thing that I thought of today. Me and some of the O'Briens were at kickboxing last night, and a couple of kids got an award for, like, a national, like, event, was it? Like a national event. And the trainer was just talking about the dedication. He used the word dedication and dedicated. they were to get this, because they did very well in the nationals as well. Apparently they were very dedicated to what they're doing, and that's why they came out successful. Yeah, we'll go to Deuteronomy 10. And we'll go verse 12. In verse 12 it reads, "And now, Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good." And so here we have the Lord speaking to the Israelites. And yeah, it's kind of just saying we need to fully follow what he says and believe in his word. And if you just flip over the page to chapter 11, verse 1, it says, "Therefore thou shalt love the Lord thy God, and keep his charge and his statutes and his judgments and his commandments always." And again, that's just reinforcing that other one in Deuteronomy 10. We need to be walking with God and fully committed to his work and words. And yeah, I read a story. What I found it quite good. It's not in the Bible or anything. I think it was just online. But it's this guy, and he's walking through a field, nice sunny day, and he comes across a wall, and the devil's on one side, and Jesus is on the other. And he said, "Oh, what do I do here?" And then the devil says to him, "If you walk on this side of the wall, you can have all you want, all these nice things." So he looks at the devil, and he says, "Oh, I really do like you, Jesus, but I also want these worldly things." So he sits there for a minute, and he's thinking, and then he says, "I've got it." And he just says, "I'll just walk along the wall." So he's walking, happy as could be, and then the devil grabs him, and he says, "The wall belongs to me." And in a way, I just thought of that as, if you want to walk with God, you've got to walk with God. It's not, you can't be on the wall, you have to be on God's side. And yeah, again, with the commitment, you just got to be fully committed to walking on that side of that wall. But yeah, that story just, I don't know why, but it just got me. Look at one more example in John 19. And we'll go in verse 25. Yeah. Verse 25 says, "Now there stood by the cross of Jesus his mother, and his mother's sister, Mary the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus therefore saw his mother and the disciple standing by, whom he loved, he said unto his mother, Woman, behold thy son. Then saith he to the disciple, Behold thy mother. And from that hour that disciple took her unto his own home. After this, Jesus, knowing all that things were now accomplished, that the scripture might be fulfilled, saith, I thirst. Now there was a set vessel full of vinegar, and they filled a sponge with vinegar, and put it upon a hyssop, and put it to his mouth. When Jesus therefore had received the vinegar, he said, It is finished. And he bowed his head and gave up the ghost. And yeah, so we all kind of know the story of how Jesus went on the cross. But what's admirable is that throughout Jesus' whole life, from when he was a kid to when he was getting on, he always had that commitment factor, and God was his number one. And I think that's something that we can aspire to be like, and yeah, keep that commitment. And yeah, I'll leave it there actually. Prayer line, love prayer line.